right.
Welcome.
And I believe we're live.
Yes, we are. This is going to be a good night.
Yes. Welcome to the Pluralist Method.
Mm-hmm.
This is our Wednesday show.
Yeah, the fun one.
The fun one, yes. This will be a quick one today, but we wanted to wait till Thursday again to do a little coverage of the post-debate coverage.
Mm-hmm. We kind of wanted both nights to be over, so we could actually
sort of wrap them up all into one episode or one show.
Yes.
So let's just jump right into it. No need to delay. We'll just get our opinions out, go over a few basic points, and then I have a few little fun questions at the end I'll throw at you over there.
Do we want to start with night one?
Sure.
All right.
To begin with, in my opinion, I think overall both of them were a lot better than the first two. I think people kind of got into the rhythm.
Oh, yeah.
The time seemed to be spread out a bit more evenly, and they stuck to the allotted times they had for questions.
Especially the first night, yeah.
They were very hard on keeping right to those time limits.
On the first night.
Their 15, 30-second responses, whatever.
Yeah, very stark comparison to the second night, and that's one of my complaints that I'll get
Sure, but I still think it was fairly... They threw the questions around pretty evenly, and even the overall times. I know Biden was a bit high, but overall I think it was a bit more balanced in the first two debates.
Yeah, I think I want to look at that. Do you know the actual times for?
Yeah, the times were all around roughly 8 to 10 minutes, aside from Biden.
Okay.
And I think Harris might have had
Kamala Harris
13 or 14.
13 or 14 as well.
Yeah, and then Biden was up.
But
still, for everyone else, to be around 8 to 10, compared to the first one, there's a few candidates only had 2 to 3 minutes.
That's fair.
So but at least they got some speaking time.
My complaint is less on the spread and more on the fact that they weren't as strict.
It's
unjust.
On the time of the questions,
The first night, they were extraordinarily strict on time. And then the second night, you see them say maybe once, thank you.
Sure.
And then they wait another 30 seconds before they say anything else. That's a little messed
They were able to stuff quite a bit more in there.
Yeah.
In their 15 to 30 second time.
I have some issues with that.
I already have some issues with the allotted time that you typically give them to respond or answer a question.
It's not adequate enough.
Yeah, but at this with this amount of candidates, it's something we have to do. It wouldn't really be feasible without.
No, let's hope the third debate goes really well. But but we're not even on that yet. First night. So I just want to state that if anyone checked last Thursday's podcast of ours, I predicted exactly how the first night and the second night would go. I want that on record because I fucking rock.
I was gonna mention that how I think on this show we definitely, I guess you definitely, I'll say I spurred on that, but
yeah, well, you asked the question.
Yeah, our show we were pretty accurate as far as your predictions that you had. Come to. You called the kind of Warren and Sanders sort of teaming up.
Yeah.
While you had the rest of the pack kind of jumping on them, of going after, looking for more of those moderate or fence-sitting type candidates, or not candidates, but potential voters, I guess.
It was quite interesting, and that is exactly what happened. And I have to admit that for the most part, Elizabeth Warren and Bernie Sanders took the hits pretty damn well.
Yeah, I think they both did a pretty solid job.
Yeah, as far as defending their positions, coming up with oftentimes witty retorts.
Sure.
I did like Senator Warren's saying, I forget who to, I think, was it Delaney?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he was throwing a lot of the attacks.
Yeah, about how are we the... I don't understand why anyone would go through all the trouble of of running for president if you're only going to talk about what you can't do.
Exactly.
Yeah,
yep.
That was awesome.
That was a good quote.
I'm paraphrasing a little bit there because I don't have.
I actually have one for the best lines that I'm going to bring up later,
and
that's
really
definitely what needs to be added to it.
That one. Biden basically endorsing Booker. And Booker
Yes.
was like,
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get
okay,
to that. We're on
sorry.
night one. You're getting distracted. We're on night
That made
one.
me so happy. But night
get there,
one,
we'll get there.
it was a solid. It was actually a solid performance for Warren. Solid for Sanders. I'd also say, aside from them two, it was pretty dang good for Bullock. Being that
I think he had a good showing.
Yeah, being that he's a moderate candidate.
I feel he fills
especially-
that role a lot better than someone like Delaney or Bennett from night 2.
Mhm. Or even how Biden kind of is, in a way,
Sure.
in comparison at least to Warren and Sanders. He's trying to fill in the moderate lane, but he's not actually a true moderate when you think about it. If you're looking at the entire,
I guess I'm
political
thinking more aside
spectrum.
from Biden, like you're
Oh yeah,
amongst the more underdog candidates.
yeah, and possibly, I would honestly say Bullock is a more true, a true and authentic moderate, even compared with Buttigieg, who is on the probably the lightest. He's probably the lightest candidate I would call a progressive, in his platform,
Mm-hmm.
but he's running as a moderate because, in comparison, on this field, he is a moderate in the Democratic primary, if not in the.
Well, I would say he's kind of
political
middle
split.
of the pack. I mean, there's definitely a lot more that lean more further towards the right than him, but of course you have the more progressive left-leaning types as well.
Oh yeah, you're talking about specifically within the
The primary,
within-
yes.
Okay.
Within the
Yeah.
20 candidates we've seen on the stage.
Actually, I wanted to ask you, within the broader political spectrum, though, where would you rate some of these people? Because Bullock, I honestly think is almost truly centrist, with maybe some right-leaning tendencies.
Sure. I think he's one that I haven't looked too much in the Bullock, but he seems to kind of pick his issues and go with more of a nonpartisan approach. Like, really, he has his select issues he's trying to push, like with his getting a lot of the so-called dark money out of campaigning and a few other issues, but still may take more right-leaning
Approaches
on certain policies.
Yeah.
I'd imagine he's probably pretty right-leaning on gun controls, considering he's from Montana.
Yes.
I don't quote me on that. I could be mistaken, but I mean
Well,
that kind of state is.
That was another thing. Was it Hickenlooper who said that he owns a gun or something? Or
Sure.
it got on. One of the candidates said, "Oh yeah, I own a gun," and blah 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 blah. And then they went on their gun control.
You may be right. I do remember
Ideas.
that, but-
I need to look into that a little more because I remember that distinctly being said, and I remember being surprised by that. Especially, you kind of don't want to admit that in a primary debate.
Well, it's like the NRA comment that Biden threw out in the end of his closing statement in the first debate. It seemed kind of unnecessary, or
Yeah.
like a silly remark to toss out in a Democratic primary.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to pretend. You don't want to state that you can negotiate with the NRA. You want to state that you can beat them.
Well, he
if you're going
even
to-
threw out that the NRA wasn't even the problem.
Oh.
That was I'm close to the exact quote he said. The NRA
Really?
is not the issue, and he went on to.
I don't remember that.
Yeah,
but
it was in his closing in the first debate.
Okay.
It was a very strange statement to
Yeah,
hear,
that's quite peculiar.
especially this early in a Democratic primary.
Yeah, that you should. But yeah, aside from Bullock, I'd say, of course, you have Buttigieg who did all right. He had a solid performance, but he didn't. Unfortunately, he didn't shine, and I don't know if he can until there's a lot fewer people in the field. At that point, once the field is winnowed, if he's still in the pack, then he might be a good candidate for everyone to kind of rally behind as a compromise between Bullock and Sanders or Warren. And
Well, if you're taking from the top
Biden.
like 5 or 6 now, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
With someone like Biden or even Harris. I mean,
Harris, I'd say, actually, it's odd. So, like I've stated before, the way she go about doing things, I do have personal issues with, because I think that what she said in the first debate was unconstitutional about utilizing executive order for a lot of things. But her platform actually maybe a little bit further left than Buttigieg, but not by far.
I guess her
not at all.
track record kind of speaks to that as well.
Oh, 100%. Especially on criminal justice reform and stuff like that. And she did get hit hard on the second night.
We'll get into
that in a second. Other than that, I'd say everyone else did about as expected. They showed pretty well. They were able to comport themselves well, but it wasn't there was no shining moment for any of them.
Yeah, we had
on the first night.
Hickenlooper, Klobuchar, and Delaney and O'Rourke were the and Williamson.
Yeah. Oh yes. Oh my god.
The dark psychic powers.
Yes. Dark psychic force was fucking funny as hell. Man, she tried to rein it in from the first debate. You can tell. And even afterwards, I saw a snippet where after the debate, they'd asked her how she thought the first night was going, or how the second debate had gone. Mm-hmm. She said, well, I guess we'll know when I see all the memes. So, yeah, so it seemed pretty obvious that she was trying to rein it in a little bit, but she still is getting that message out there. And if you look at just the message, like, almost on a philosophical level, and you're not trying to look at it through a political lens, I mean, some of it, it's foundationally true.
Sure.
I mean, it's a very optimistic kind of use your will.
Her intentions are pretty noble for her.
Yeah. Which is kind of nice. It's nice to really see that. But in all actuality, you have
in a practical sense, it's not going to.
Yeah, you have to study up and you have to be knowledgeable. There are a couple things that I didn't like about her statements. In both the first debate and the second debate, she kind of bashed on, oh yeah, we don't need to be intellectual. Plans won't solve the problem. And I'm like,
I mean, she was really going for that Trump voter base.
Yeah, but the thing is, plans do solve the problem. You absolutely have to have plans. And speaking of plans, that brings us to Beto O'Rourke. This debate actually was, well, it wasn't a shining moment for him at all. He improved, yes. He improved a lot, like, substantially. What is the...
But it's kind of like saying he, got his head above water.
Yes, exactly. He's now able to breathe a little bit. And, I mean, it does show that he did a little bit of his homework. He was citing things from previous policy. He actually did sound knowledgeable rather than, like,
sure,
you had brought a fucking trained monkey up on stage or something. It was bad. But if I was giving, like, at the end of the school year, you know how you get the little most likely to succeed, he'd be most improved. Yeah, which is kind of nice. I mean, he did quite well for the second debate.
You just touched on another one of my questions, which we'll get to in a moment.
Oh, damn.
Run through this quickly because we're on a limited time. We got places to be, but before we move to the second night, I just wanted to throw out, since I forgot at the beginning, be sure to like and subscribe.
Oh, absolutely.
If you want to tip us or donate, the link is in the description. Yeah, of course, if you have any questions or comments you'd like to make, as I see a few already here, please throw those in the chat, and we will get to those at the end of the show.
Absolutely love comments, especially on the fun nights, because I mean, we can kind of riff a little bit.
See some great roast or some funnies.
Yeah, I enjoy it.
All right, night two. This one stuck a lot further or more in my memory, and maybe because it was the most recent, but I remember a lot more.
It's not just the recentness. It's the, I mean, we are kind of hardwired to remember dramatic events.
Sure.
And night two was definitely the most dramatic, and I predicted that as well. Or this show did. we basically said that there would 100% be chaos. People would be. I also stated that Kamala Harris and Joe Biden would both get attacked from different people because they are in the top tier. And then, of course, you will also see Kamala Harris and Joe Biden kind of scrapping.
Especially at the beginning, Kamala Harris, I thought we were gonna be in for basically the same thing we saw in the first debate, because Kamala Harris was definitely veering a lot of her attacks in Biden's direction.
Oh, 100%.
When she would get attacked from another candidate, she would kind of spin it around and somehow turn it against Biden.
Oh, 100%. And then I also stated last time that Booker was going to try to pull some shit too. If y'all go back and check that, and that definitely happened.
I mean, he definitely had some pretty good
Booker. In all honesty, Booker had the least attacks on him, but the most attacks on, or not the most, but a significant number of attacks on Biden.
A little graphic that showed who received the most attacks and who dealt the most attacks.
Oh yeah. Actually, what did it state?
It stated that
Biden, of course, received the most attacks.
Sure. Yang received and dealt no attacks. You saw it had like a little graphic with arrows going around, and it was just like and had this swarm coming into Kamala Harris and Biden.
Oh yeah. And Kamala did take a few attacks as well.
She had some pretty vicious attacks against her. We'll get to that.
Yeah, that was, oh my gosh. I personally enjoyed it because, I mean, her and then Swalwell were both the ones who kind of started it in the first debate.
Sure.
Swalwell attacking Buttigieg, and now Swalwell's out, so take that. And now Kamala Harris is getting a taste of her own medicine, which I'm quite happy about. So take that too. Okay, so that's all I have to say about that little bit. That's my own little tangent. But yeah, you have any questions?
No, it's a bit. I want to get to some of these little fun questions. I guess I have.
Oh yeah.
You touched on one before we started here, but we got.
Sorry.
Who's the best dressed?
Yang, of course. No tie.
The no tie.
It actually
is referenced.
I personally think that's a good thing. He actually referenced it as well.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that as well.
Yeah. But the thing is, I personally, I like to put myself in the shoes of the candidates. Like, okay, how would I present myself and things like that. And in all honesty,
which candidate you want to have a beer with?
Oh my gosh. I mean, obviously that's Hickenlooper. But I mean, I might do a keg stand with Biden or something like that. I'd like to see him. I'd like to see him get really rowdy.
That.
We gotta try. Come on, Biden.
What about?
But wait, I want to finish this. When I put myself in...
You got a lot to say about this no tie.
No, when I put myself in the shoes of a candidate and say, okay, if I were up on stage, how would I comport myself? And one of the things I've thought of is, why the fuck does everyone have to be like so dressed up? Would you be attacked if you came out with just fucking polo shirt and slacks or khakis or something? Do you have to? Would people attack you, or would people think that, okay, he's more every man or every woman kind of person?
I think you need to have a certain level of at least effort shown that you want to be somewhat presentable. I mean, I don't know how far you could go.
Yeah.
As far as, well, I mean, you said polo shirt and slacks. That might be doable, but
yeah,
you don't want to dip too far below.
You don't want to go like
a certain where it looks like you basically just
jeans.
rolled out of bed, or you're going down to
Sure.
the work site, I guess.
No, but you should. I mean, moderate level. The thing is, I don't like to ascribe too much to appearance anyway. So anyone who comes in, I mean, especially on a debate like this, a political debate. What you're wearing actually people read into that quite a bit. I assume, and
the
I kind of
tan
want to
suit.
Yeah, I kind of want to get rid
Hillary's $1 million of millions of wardrobe changes.
Yeah, I
and
want
the
to get rid of.
strange.
I think we should get rid of that.
Just
that
have them all come out
stigma.
nude.
No. That's a bad idea.
There's a podium.
There's a podium. Oh my gosh.
What about Clark Kent? You threw me that text.
Yes.
when we
Okay.
started.
So, oh my gosh,
Jay Inslee.
Jay Inslee looks like Clark Kent when he retired.
Yeah.
People who don't know comics, Clark Kent is Superman.
With the
No,
glasses.
he had the glasses and the hair and
Stature.
everything, and even his jawline was.
I mean, if anything, it's a
compliment.
compliment. It's
No, it really is. I mean, he's I don't know.
well built.
Well built,
He's got,
yeah.
I guess he worked out in his day. I found it kind of funny because he, the guy next to him, De Blasio, they almost had identical suits.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw them walk out, and they're both very tall gentlemen. And I was like, oh,
They
it's
probably got it
twins.
from the same place.
Just like Klobuchar and Warren, they were wearing the same red
Yeah.
jacket and.
I also saw
White.
that someone stated that Klobuchar had stolen Elizabeth Warren's haircut, but I don't know
I
how
mean,
much.
she's had that haircut for a while.
Yeah, I don't know how much to ascribe to
Yeah,
that.
it's all in fun,
Yeah.
We're not having an Obama's tan suit moment,
Yeah, no. Like, in all honesty, it doesn't
Or
matter.
or
what the
that
hell
white
you're
suit
wearing.
of Gabbard, Tulsi Gabbard.
Yeah, I don't. Again, I thought that was kind of cool. But again, I don't give too much of a hell. Like,
It's all injustice.
yeah, if you're in like a job interview and they require you to go to the interview in a shirt and tie, go. But there are there's no clothing stipulations as far as.
I think as long as you
Say
remain a
Democratic
decent level
debate.
of,
Yeah.
show a decent level of poise and respectability.
Yeah, and I
from
mean, if you had a
how you're
polo,
dressed.
if you had a polo shirt and you're clean shaven and shit. I know I'm not clean shaven, nor are you, but I mean,
Yeah.
groomed well is what
Yeah.
I meant to say, not clean shaven, but groomed well. Then hell, you're good, and you probably have an advantage if you're more comfortable. So
just in case a fist fight breaks out.
yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it hella could. Because Kamala and Biden looked like they were about to throw down, and then Booker was about to sucker punch Biden.
All right, so what about the best line? I've got a few here that I really
Oh
enjoyed.
man, I
That's
like.
kind of one-liner or
Okay.
general line.
So first off, Buttigieg threw like a scripture quote
Yeah, you
out.
mentioned that.
I don't even remember.
Another one,
the
the other one I really liked by him was the if we embrace a far left agenda, they're gonna say we're a bunch of crazy socialists.
Yeah.
And if we embrace a more conservative agenda, they're still gonna call us a bunch of crazy socialists.
That was a good moment.
It was very accurate.
Of course, you also have Biden basically saying, "Oh, future president" to Booker.
Oh yes, that's
and Booker.
that's
saying,
down in my oopsie moment.
Yeah, Booker.
Biden endorses Booker.
Booker says, "Well, I'm glad you are endorsing me
Yep.
already." I was like, "Oh wow." I didn't know what to say. Like, he should have just Biden should have just fucking walked off stage, and so should have every other candidate except for Booker. You're like, okay, it's my night now.
Should
Like,
have started pulling for his vice presidency.
I also would say Elizabeth Warren, which she said,
line we had just mentioned
yeah, the line we had
previously.
mentioned, yeah, that was really, really good. And then
I like the dipping into the Kool-Aid and you don't even know the flavor from Booker.
that was so fucking on brand. Actually, it was almost on brand compared to Bernie Sanders when Hickenlooper said, "Go ahead, throw your hands up,"
That's
and then
in my,
Sanders said, "Okay."
That's not my most memorable moment. I have Hickenlooper and Bernie attempt to start a wave.
That was perfect. Both those moments were super on brand, and I loved that so much.
And we have the Bernie Sanders. I wrote the damn bill.
Oh yeah, no, that was fantastic as well.
It's classic Bernie right there.
Other than that, there were quite a few like good moments.
I'm going to
like that.
Clorox the Oval Office.
Oh yeah, with Gillibrand. Oh, the first thing I do when I get into the Oval Office is Clorox it.
Yep.
That was very, very good. Unfortunately, I don't think Gillibrand did as well in the
No.
second debate as she did in the
agree.
first one. I don't, man, and I like her. I really do. I think that she could do well. I didn't. I don't think she was able to stand up to Biden as well when she tried to throw the attack.
Yeah.
Which that's kind of depressing. I mean, it is. Because I mean, first off, I don't want I don't want attacks in the first place. But when you're kind of rooting for the person when they throw an attack, you deep down kind of hope it lands. So that was kind of rough. But
it's like choosing a side in a street fight.
Yeah.
Well, that leads us right into the strongest attack. Who hit the biggest, threw the biggest punch?
Tulsi Gabbard.
Yes, that's what I have as well.
100%. Tulsi Gabbard. Followed by Cory Booker. Actually, it's not the strongest attack. It's just like a flurry of blows.
Yeah.
Like bam, 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 bam. It's perfect. But no, Tulsi Gabbard basically saying that
the
Kamala,
15,000 in jail.
Yeah.
When asked, and she just laughed if she ever smoked.
Yeah. The 15,000 who were in prison for smoking weed, and then later
For
in an
marijuana
interview,
violations.
she laughed about smoking weed herself.
And laughed about.
That was a strong moment.
Increasing bond costs.
Yeah, and who was the other
bond
person
costs.
who said weed should be illegal?
I do not.
The guy who basically went out, he said, and by the way, weed should be illegal. I don't remember who it was, so obviously it wasn't that important. So let's move on from there.
Right. So I had as I mentioned, we had a most improved. Who do you think was the most improved?
Beto O'Rourke, 100%.
I also have Bullocks and Sanders.
Oh yeah, well Bullock obviously is the most improved because he wasn't in the first debate, so he's going from 0 to 100 real quick.
And I have Gabbard and Sanders as well.
Yeah. Sanders especially. Gabbard, 100% agree with that. I'd say.
On terms of just hitting the points they wanted to hit as well as making an impression.
Oh yeah. If Gabbard's polls do not increase after this debate, I will be extraordinarily surprised. At least for a little bit. It might go back down after a little bit, kind of as we saw with Kamala Harris.
Mm-hmm.
But even with that, Kamala still retains some of her increase in polls from the first debate,
sure.
if not all of it. And I'd expect the same thing to happen for Gabbard, hopefully. But no, she did quite well. Cory Booker might see an increase as well with that debate. Biden, I don't know if Biden will really take too big of a hit.
I feel it's more how many voters can you pull off of Biden and kind of pull them to your side.
I'm also wondering, like, I'm having a feeling that this the polling is coming from a lot of different places. A lot of voters are going to be switched around during this during the next few days in the polls and up to the few weeks possibly. Especially due to the fact that we don't have another debate till September.
So for worst line, who do you think of the worst line?
Biden. Future president, man.
Well, that's I have on my biggest oopsie.
Okay.
As far as a line, I'm going with the Trump is a socialist for the rich.
De Blasio.
That made no sense.
That was really bad. No, Trump, you're the socialist.
And there's a huge pause. I'm just sitting there scratching my head.
Yeah, no, actually, he paused also because he expected applause. And it was fucking silent.
Added dramatic effect.
Yeah, it was silent. No.
There were three guys in the back room. They're like, "Oh yeah, that was a great one." Really, they hate him too, and they're just like,
"Yeah, no, I mean,
let him run with it."
You gotta actually make sense if you're going to attack someone, and that did not make sense,
especially in a closing statement.
Oh yeah, no,
silly.
It's bad because you're leaving people with that. I'd also, there were a couple other, I guess, bad lines, but I don't remember any of them.
Yeah. At least as far as one-liners are kind of impactful quotes you can pull.
Yeah.
There might have been a little more of that. For worst moments, I have kind of some of the stuff we touched on, like the for me, in the first debate, CNN's boxing match opening, where they had the graphics of the Bernie and Warren coming together, smashing together like it was.
Oh, that's so bad.
It's a title fight card or something. Like,
also, the mic situation.
oh, the mic situation.
Okay,
At
come
least
on.
they alleviated that fairly quickly.
Yeah, that was really bad. I was really concerned for Kamala Harris because I didn't think that. Though I may not like her, she deserves to get a fair shot.
Mm-hmm.
And having a mic be very tinny in that way, I mean, it makes voters or the audience less likely to listen because they're only focusing on that
Gabbard had a little bit
tinniness.
of issue as well.
Mhm.
There was
I
kind of
didn't
some
notice
feedback.
it as much,
Yeah.
but it was bad.
And then
I'm glad that got fixed.
and also CNN's attempts to kind of pit the candidates against each other.
Yeah, man.
Some of those questionings are very provoking.
Especially in a debate where out on multiple occasions. Also, I don't know if you noticed this as well, but when there were certain attacks, and then you'd have attack, response, and then sometimes you'd have an additional attack, and then they'd move to another candidate, or you'd allow the response and then move on to the candidate. They did it different for different people, which kind of fucked. That seemed unfair as well. I mean, if you're going to utilize these kind of rules, then let that then abide by them for all people.
Especially if someone's not being able to refute the claims that were thrown against them, and it kind of just gets passed over, and you're on to the next.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
As well as I noticed some of their
unacceptable.
questions, they would sort of try to provoke an attack, and then if they didn't incite that sort of attack against someone, they would still pose the question to the person they were hoping were to get attacked, and then just pose it
like,
as,
what the hell?
oh, you know, what was the one we were talking about as Buttigieg, as far as the age difference and how you know people of different ages having both ideas, and then it's like throw it at Bernie and he says, oh, you're too old, what do you think of that? And it's
crappy.
It's ridiculous.
And in all honesty, I mean, while it was an improvement from the first debate, the second one still needed a lot of improvement, especially regarding that. I think the balance of time and airtime of speaking time for the candidates was improved, but still some issues with the questions. And I 100% agree. I think for the third debate, and I talked to you about this, and I don't think it'll happen.
This will be on ABC News.
This will be on ABC. What I'd like to see is continue with the 2-night debates.
Yes, we
but
had talked about this.
The field will be drastically
Then the
winnowed
field
by then.
allow a lot more speaking time for each candidate.
So theoretically, you'll probably see.
It's like 4 to 6 a night.
Yeah,
instead
exactly.
of the 10.
And I'd love to see that.
And hopefully they would increase the times for responses. And whatnot.
Yes. So they can go into the issues and about what the differences between these candidates truly are, especially regarding things. And I mean, if you
some of the more nuance between contentious issues.
Yes, like immigration, certain things about healthcare.
Sure.
All of those are quite contentious, and there is a ton of nuance there. Again, I've said this plenty of times, but for the healthcare thing, people get like graduate degrees for that kind of shit.
Sure.
Just to understand what the hell is going on, because it's so difficult to understand. There's a lot of nuance. And with immigration, we've literally had a problem for decades without that being solved. So I'd imagine there's a little bit of fucking nuance there too. So I mean, answering or coming at the problem with only a couple minutes without even
not even minutes, seconds. At times.
Seconds actually.
30 to 15 seconds for responses sometimes.
It's unacceptable.
And the last one I wanted to throw out there, just because I wanted to drop this, the best opener or closing statement. I'm going with Yang's fourth wall break.
Oh yeah,
again, that left that was great. This is a reality show. We're in the Matrix.
Yeah, he basically said, everyone just talked about my tie. The thing is,
calling out CNN, calling out the rest of the
oh yeah, and
news
even like, I
conglomerates.
guess he'd probably be calling us out too because we talked about his tie. But hell, the only thing I'd like to see from Yang, I'd like to see him try to grab it a little more. Like, he's not getting attacked because no one really thinks of him as like truly an opponent, and I think that they're mistaken. He has some interesting ideas that could be very helpful for the future.
Especially if he takes that initiative, because he's doing well enough now where he could really bolster that support he has and
yeah, I'm surprised
kind of sneak up on him.
In a lot of ways, I kind of think he should have run as an independent, because he's even more independent than like Bernie Sanders. At least the Democratic Party kind of is embracing some of Bernie Sanders' ideas, whereas Yang,
Sure.
There's a lot of his stuff, especially his response on the environment that was could have been better. It was very throw it onto the or business kind of centric.
Well, I think he could have even embraced that even more with the environment. So I don't want to get too deep into
come
it.
with the
but
arguments a little better.
Yeah.
It would have been more effective. But yeah.
All right, well, that's
that
it.
was a good one.
About 36 minutes. That was
right.
very quick. It's incredibly rushed, but we'll go through a few of these comments. There's some comments in here. We'll see if anybody has any questions.
All right, let's have it.
I want to know who thought it was a good idea to put Harris and Biden next to each other.
CNN, because they wanted to
They
see
want to
a
see the
fight.
fight.
Yes.
And I believe there is a reason they put the two leading
No, they always
candidates
put
in the center.
They put the highest polling candidate. They actually,
which would have been
from center to outward,
yes,
highest polling to lowest polling.
based on polling, yes.
Yeah.
So that's why the 4 highest polling were split between the 2 nights, and they were both placed center stage.
Yep. And if anyone watched the draw, they specifically made it.
They
did a
divided
separate
up between the
draw
top, the middle, and the bottom.
So it would be evenly
as far as polling.
matched.
All right, we have Dark Forces.
Dark Forces. It's again. I really, man. I've been telling you for a few days now. I really want to make that meme where
you didn't go into it here. Don't
Marianne
go into it.
Williamson fucking has a Pokeball, throws it, and says, "Mewtwo, I choose you," and then use Dark Forces of Evil. Sorry, but it was perfect.
I believe Psychic would be the attack.
Psychic Forces. You're right.
It's just Psychic. There is no, or there's Psy Wave.
All right, nerd.
I loved Harris getting called out on her endorsements. Getting called out her endorsements on her medical plan.
Oh yeah, that was actually an interesting night an interesting part as well. Or was it Warren? No, Kamala's. I'm sorry, I was thinking of Kamala being called out because someone attacked her. I think it was also Gabbard attacked her on the fact that her healthcare plan that she had put out was endorsed by a career healthcare businesswoman, and they were like, So that was pretty interesting. Yep. But what was that about Warren being called out about it?
No, did I say Warren?
Yeah,
it was Harris. I'm mistaken
Harris.
If I said
okay.
Warren.
I might have misheard it. But yeah, that was funny as hell.
Who would be a successful cult leader?
Oh, obviously Joe Biden. No, Marianne Williamson. That's like
that's what your fiance was looking for.
Yeah. No, Marianne Williamson, and possibly I'd say Cory Booker, just because the Kool-Aid comment. That's messed up. Sorry, I'll stop there. That was too dark.
I second that lovely sound. Best clap back. We have Julia walks into a restaurant. This is her scenario. Mm-hmm. Walks into a restaurant with your live stream playing, and everyone hears, "No Trump. You're the socialist." The socialist. Excuse me. That was spot on. And then you got Dylan with hearts.
Oh. Thank you.
Anyways, So I think it's about it. That's about at the 40-minute mark. It went by very fast.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Well, I
got to fit all this into 30 minutes.
I was actually quite surprised. I could talk about this for a lot longer, but
there's a lot more to be said.
I got places to be.
We could have spent 40 minutes alone on night one.
Oh, easily. I mean, truly, what they say.
Yeah, bring the dog in.
Oh yeah.
Release the hound.
Come on, the pup.
Release the hound.
Puppy. Hey, puppy.
Here comes the dog.
Hey, pup. Up. Oh yeah. Say
There's
hi.
the
Yes.
dog.
Mhm. Yep.
All
That
up in
is
the
a
mic.
microphone. That is no. Don't sniff that. Yeah. Hi, baby.
I love you too, Jeremy. Aw, how sweet.
Who was that?
It's Julia.
Julia. Right. So what do you have to say about this, Kenai? Yeah. I'm a Buddha Judge supporter too. All right. Go.
Trying to corrupt the dog.
Yeah. Turn him over to my side.
I swear the views are for the dog mostly.
Oh no.
Ouch.
They are.
Ouch.
But that's all right.
All right. Well, that's codename Booty Juice.
Codename Booty Juice. I love it.
Booty Juice.
Mm.
Anyways. All right. So that's about it for today.
Yeah. Got any
Thanks for
housekeeping
joining
us?
No, of course. Follow us on Twitter. I did some tweeting during the debate, some live tweeting. I think some funny little quips in there, and we will continue to do that. Of course, yes, follow us on Twitter. Like and subscribe if you have not already.
Yep.
If you want to offer a donation or a tip, it's in the
Greatly
description.
appreciate it.
And do you have any hints for the Sunday show?
None at all.
None at all. I don't know if that's a hint or he genuinely has nothing. But we'll see come Sunday. It could be an hour and a half of just silence.
Jeremy and I just staring
The
at
meditation stream. Who blinks
perfect.
first?
All
right.
No, it'll be good. And you'll like it. That's the hint. All right. I hope you all have a beautiful day.
Yes.
And,
we'll be next week also for the Wednesday show. We'll be back at our normal time on Wednesday.
Yes,
not
on Wednesday
Thursday.
this time. And
Just
we're
an
not trying
exception
to
for the
fake
debate.
anyone out this time
No.
either. We are actually going to be there next Wednesday. But yeah, I'm Dylan,
I'm Jeremy.
and we'll see you next week.
Thanks for watching.